Well, let's get some more analysis. We can speak to Dan Brown, Associate Professor of Astronomy and Science, who joins us from Nottingham Trent University in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for being with us again, Professor Brown. Quite a few firsts on this mission to the edge of space. What struck you?
I think what struck me is the ability that you've got this wide range of people that are now able to go into, well, or close to space and experience that, even though it's for a fraction of these 11 minutes. So that's something that struck me. And from my point of view, it struck me as well that after the initial hype, you return to a slight cynicist a viewpoint that where is this going to lead? Are we now looking into the beginnings of a space race that will then maybe send more material into space by private companies? And where do we stand on that point?
Any risks associated with this sort of mission? I mean, obviously there must have been. And how do you think they were sort of mitigated and minimized?
I think there are two things. The longer time the risk is this is the first step of a mission that might then develop into a further program, so that then might lead to larger deployment of satellites. And so that's a longer term of risks that I'm foreseeing and worried about. But the other risk imminently for these is what happens if the rocket malfunctions and there's an explosion. At that point, there's safety procedures in place. The capsule can be then decoupled, and we've heard a little bit in the kind of small print of what they had to sign the passengers that there's a certain amount of time they are given to unstrap and release themselves out of their suits to escape. So there's a certain amount of risk involved in there as well, bearing in mind again how much fuel is used compared to other rockets and how the flight system works. They are not as massive as other space missions, but there's a substantial risk as well. Hence, we've got more than a dozen unmanned missions ahead of this before we get this first manned or human mission that Bezos put in place.
And during the last year or so, and we've had various unmanned missions to Mars, those missions launched by a number of different countries. Then we've got these billionaire trips to the edge of space. I mean, what do you read into this renewed appetite into space travel?
I think what I'm seeing here is that it starts to become financially viable for firms and a billionaire still, not big conglomerates of many countries, but as firms to come together and actually explore space and explore it by themselves. So it's starting to ignite a kind of period of time where we might become more affordable to put things into a near Earth orbit. And this is the bit which yes, we can say we can get excited about it because it becomes more cost efficient and starting a new era maybe, but how much of that is really a brand new era, or how much is that essentially now opening up a fragile kind of area of space for a joyride essentially?
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for sharing that with us and for being with us during the course of this last hour and a half or so. Daniel Brown, Associate Professor in Astronomy and Science at Nottingham Trent University in the UK. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.